Hi everybody, James Barrett-Sterling here for KTV. Now look, it had to happen sooner or later. As much as we wanted to go unbeaten for the whole season, it had to happen. And we suffered a first defeat, Wingate and Finchley 3-1. Very disappointing, but myself and the gaffer are here to pick the bones out of it and to look forward. That's what we're going to do. So Hayden, thank you for joining us on the weekend preview. Obviously not the result that we wanted. Now you've had some more time to reflect on the game. What are your feelings about it now?
I think pretty much what I said at the time to Jamie. I think that the team have made a tremendous start to the season. An interesting little statistic is that if you wind back to the Dorking Wanderers game in the very first friendly, which was the first week in July, I think, where we lost with literally 5 seconds to go 1-0, and in a game I think we were all very encouraged about. That was our first defeat in any football since that game. So that was 15, 16 games ago. I mean, that says an awful lot for the players, especially what is, largely a new group of players that have come in. So I think it speaks volumes for them, there's no doubt. What we saw against Wingate and Finchley is that in this level, you have to play well to win. You have to have the right mindset to win. You have to be in the right conditions to win. And obviously, you have to play well to win. There's no gimmies. There's no easy games. And let's recognise there were two sides on the pitch. I thought Wingate and Finchley were excellent. Mark's team played very, very well. But as he alluded to in his interview after the game, they played with a different attitude because they were playing Kingstonian, who were top of the league. Now, we have to react to that. We've spoken about it as a group. I spoke about it in the dressing room. Really successful teams are relentless. They're relentless in search of victory. And the more they win, the more they want to win. That's a skill set that probably some players in the dressing room haven't come up against before. So, yeah, disappointing, but not the end of the world by any stretch of imagination. I'm sure the boys will learn from it. And I think it's important to recognise as a club that I said to you a few weeks ago when people were speaking about winning leagues and winning this, that and the other, that it was nonsense and the talk had to stop. When you spoke to me after the Brightlingsea game and you said, how do I keep the boys' feet on the ground? I said, because we have to improve. And the message is now clearer than ever. We have to improve. Do I think that we're currently the best team in the league? I don't think we are. I think it's far too early to say these sort of things. I think that it's an excellent division. You're seeing Folkestone that have goals in them and I think are a very good team. Worthing are, after one or two results which Adam may be disappointed with, are looking much more like Worthing. Lewis are improving and improving and improving. I saw Carshalton in the week who have very, very good players. You're looking at people in Enfield with Mohamed Al-Fau, who is going to be one of the best strikers in the league. And you put Horsham in that bracket. Horsham are a side with the likes of Charlie Harris, with the likes of Tom and Cavs and Eddie when he's fit. One or two players as Hester Cook, who's on loan from Dorking. They're a very good team. So my message to everybody is not to pour water on expectations and the excitement, but let's be realistic. We've got to keep our feet on the ground as a club. We need to improve in every single area of the pitch to have any chance of making the top five. In my eyes, in someone that's made the top five in this division in two other clubs that he's managed, I know we have a lot of work to do to even think about contemplating getting into the top five at the moment. And the reality is the performance at Wingate showed us that.
I think that's very fair enough. I mean, you've got to say, obviously, a first defeat is disappointing, but the case as a collective. You know, we must applaud the squad and you and your management team for a great start to the season. I mean, surely you would have taken one defeat during the first calendar month all day long.
I think that the players have done remarkably well, and the players have exceeded my expectations. We are so far ahead where I thought that we would be. I'll let you into a dressing room secret. I gave the players a target of 8 points whilst I wasn't there. And I said to them, if they hit 8 points in the 4 games that I'm not there, they would have done remarkably well. They hit 12. Tremendous. We played some great football in the FA Cup in the previous rounds. Once we got to a proper football pitch, dare I say, great result against Barrett-Sterling. And no one could ever take away the effort and the commitment and the quality that we've shown. And more poignantly, what those players have shown. My point to everybody is it's easy in football to get ahead of yourself. It's easy for people to get too excited. I'm reminding people that we need to manage our expectations, and I'm stating very clearly that we are not title winning material yet. That's not to say that we won't be, but we are not yet. I think that there are teams in our league that are far more settled than us, that have been together longer. Woking have only added 1 or 2, for example. Folkestone are very settled, in the likes of Smith, in the likes of Youssef. I think they have very, very dangerous players in the final third of the field. They're in excellent conditions. I'm not saying that we won't achieve these things. I'm saying that we have to improve in every area to have a chance of doing so.
I mean, fundamentally, sorry, I get my words out. Fundamentally, has it changed the way that you and the lads are going to approach the FA Cup tie at the weekend at all, this defeat on Tuesday?
No, not at all. Not at all. What happened on Tuesday is normal. And what I mean by that is we don't want losing to be normal. Sorry, that's Jamie Howe on the phone. I'll cut him off. We don't want losing to be normal. Of course we don't. And in fact, it's not, thankfully. But it's normal that there are going to be hiccups. There are normal is that we're going to be bad performances because they're non-league footballers. My biggest question on Tuesday is not to the players. My biggest question is this. What I would like someone to answer me is, every other year, really, in this level of football, everybody's played Saturday and Tuesday, Saturday and Tuesday. Would you agree with that, James? In the years that you were available and working at Carshalton, the start of the season has been Saturdays and Tuesdays. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, midweek games chucked in there are plenty.
And so it makes more sense than ever this season for the league to try to break the back of the fixtures, especially when you hear potential lockdowns ahead of us in winter, so we make sure we don't get another bad experience through COVID. We've had a situation where players haven't played since November, yet we're only playing once a week. So if there's only, instead of 10 midweek games in a calendar, or at the start of the season, instead of being Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, if they decide, okay, we're now going to put this midweek game in, that was the first midweek game of the season in the league. How on earth are Kingstonian going to Wingate and Finchley? Surely anybody in their right mind thinks that it's a midweek game, one of the very few you put a local fixture in. And, you know, if I look at the fixtures on Tuesday and Wednesday, as I'll do very quickly for you now. So I see Casuals have a great result against Cray, a local game. You see Enfield and Haringey, that makes perfect sense. That's a local game. You see Hornchurch v Bognor, perfect sense, a local game. Worthing, if you're coming out of Sussex, Leatherhead's probably the next best option. That's a local game. Potters Bar and Cheshunt, that's a local game. Wingate and Finchley and Kingstonian, how have we arrived at that? I'm not making excuses for the players, but I can tell you this. I left my house on Tuesday at 2:45 and I arrived at the ground at 6:15. So my point is not to make excuses. And I want to congratulate Wingate. I thought that they were a really good team, I've no doubt that Mark will go on and have a fantastic season. They deserve to win. I've no complaints about the results. I have a major complaint about the decisions and whoever's putting these fixtures together. And as non-league footballers, that was a factor in the performance for me.
Definitely something we have to keep an eye out for. Then I'll be checking through the fixtures myself later and picking them out. Okay, let's move on to future matters. Obviously, the FA Cup.
Have I moaned enough about the league now? I've moaned enough about the league. Listen, I just say seriously, before people start saying, "Oh, he's making excuses. It's never his fault. It's never the team's fault." Wingate deserved to win. I've no problem with it. I just couldn't understand the rationale that we were travelling all the way across North London, where surely the midweek games, when there aren't many, it makes more sense to keep them more local. That's all.
I think that's fair enough. And to be fair, you congratulated Wingate on Tuesday in your post-match interview of Jamie as well. So, I don't think it is a case of sour grapes really, but it's going to be disappointing to get that first L on the board. But we do move, and we're going to move onwards and upwards, I think. And as we mentioned earlier, FA Cup action again, second qualifying round now. And it's a visit from a familiar Isthmian Premier League opponent in Horsham. You briefly mentioned them earlier, but what teasers does it pose playing a division rival?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, in the previous round, we obviously played a Step 5 club who did really well. I'll say again that to get out of Oxyjet with a draw sounds crazy, but I was happy with it. And the team put in a great performance at home. That's for certain. So in this round, we're playing a team in our division, and there's pros and cons to that. Obviously, we would prefer to play a lower league club. We would prefer the easiest fixture we could get, with all due respect to lower league clubs. And we've got a team at our level, and we've got a very good team at our level. I think that Horsham have an aspiring young manager who works very hard for his club, has got good contacts, and he's compiled a really good side. We can speak about Tom Kavanagh. Tom Kavanagh is an excellent footballer. The only reason that Tom Kavanagh isn't here today is because we had an honest conversation with him, and I couldn't give him the guarantees that he's looking for. But let me tell you, Horsham have got a very good player on their hands, and a really, really good person as well, who will add to their dressing room. I'll say the same about Tom Richards. The fact that Tom, maybe we didn't quite see the best of here, was more of an issue of the shape and the dynamic of Kingstonian than Tom's ability. And I've seen Horsham this season, and he looks back to his best form. He's playing in roles that I think he's comfortable with, and I think that Tom is a big threat. Eddie, I don't think he's really fit at the moment, so we may or may not see him on Saturday. But if you look down the spine of the team, you see Sam Howes in goal from Dorking, really excellent goalkeeper, great shot stopper. You see experience in the central defensive areas. You see the likes of Doug Tuck, who I think is a really excellent playmaker. He's very, very good with the ball. You've got Charlie Harris in there. You've got Hester Cook in there from Dorking. And you've got forwards that can hurt you. And Fenelon is a player probably shouldn't be at this level. So they've had a start of the season that probably they would have hoped for a little bit better. but that's been a difficult start to the season. But I think that this will be our most difficult game of the season. I think we're playing a really good team. They've got really good players, and they're going to test us to the maximum. I've got to tell you that I'm really confident, and I think it's the worst time for anybody to play Kingstonian. If Kingstonian want to be successful, you have to have a couple of rules in place for the pitch. One of which is good sides don't lose twice on the trot. There's too much about them as players. There's too much about them in terms of their personality, and there's too much about them in terms of their ability. Look at all the good sides, James, that you can think of in football, whether it's Premier League, our league, whatever. Very, very rarely to the teams that end up winning trophies lose twice on the trot. That's my challenge to the players, and it's a challenge that I think that they'll embrace, and a challenge that we'll take on together with great confidence, because I have amazing belief in a really outstanding group of Kingstonian.
And I suppose one confidence booster is the fact that even though we lost on Tuesday, we still scored, got on the score sheet. And that's something that we've done every game this season as well, which obviously bodes towards the fact that you've recruited quite well in the attacking options in summer.
I think the forwards are doing a great job, and I think it's important because the forwards are largely new players. You look at Jason, you look at Reese, you look at Daniel Ajakai as examples, all new players, settled in really well. I think they're fantastic lads. I think they've really improved us. And as you say, look at constant threat, and we always look like scoring goals. To be honest with you, I think we've been a little bit wasteful in front of goal. And when we speak about improving, I think that those players would say, yeah, I put my hands up, Gaffer, we should have put teams to the sword a little bit quicker. Bright-Linksea, a good example of that. I've watched the game again of Bright-Linksea, and one thing that you can't help but ignore is that we probably had 3 or 4 one-on-ones in that game. And so, yeah, we've come away with 3 goals, but we really ought to have come away with more, as we should have done in midweek as well. But listen, I think it would be a bit churlish to criticise the strikers. I think Daniel Ajakai is the perfect player for us. I think Elliot gives us an amazing another option. And the wide players and the number 10s, throw Nyron into the mix as well, who will be fit again Saturday. I think we're blessed in those areas, and I think we'll always score goals.
Excellent, good stuff. Could we have a squad update for Saturday, please? I'd just like to say it's been nice to see the likes of Nyron and Fabio and Harry down at the ground supporting the boys when we've had home fixtures. Yeah,
the group are really together, and I think that whether you're in the team or whether you're not, whether you're injured, whether you're in the stand, whether you're on the bench, the togetherness in the squad is what really has made us successful, really has been a contributory factor. We've all seen players. I think I'm boring, James. I think he's gone somewhere.
Sorry, just bear with me for 1 second. My son's just walked into the room.
Bring him in. I think we've all seen players and clubs that when they don't play, they sulk a little bit. We haven't had that. I've got to say that the likes of Aaron and Elliot, senior players, their attitude has been instrumental in our success in the early weeks of the season. You've got Teo, you've got Deck, you've got the younger players that are pushing the senior players. Believe me, their chance is coming. And you've got the likes of Fabio and Harry and Nyron, who, as you say, have been injured. So with regard to those players specifically, Nyron will be fit for Saturday. Harry has seen a specialist this week. And sadly, that injury looks rather serious. And I think that it's going to be a long-term injury, and it's going to be an injury which I can say without fear of contradiction is going to require surgery. So that one's going to be a long one. And Fabio has also seen another specialist this week, and there's a question mark of now whether there's a slight rupture to the ACL. So that could also be a long-term one, albeit that's not diagnosed, it's not certain, and we're waiting the results of an MRI scan. So not great news on the injury front, but thankfully we've got good strength and depth, and the lads that have stepped in have done famously.
Excellent. Yeah, well, we wish all those boys a speedy recovery, obviously, and it'll be good to see Nyron back involved if he is. What's your particular favourite memories of this competition, Hayden? Obviously, you've been very successful in this as a manager at this level. Obviously, the Macclesfield game stands out, but is there any other memories you'd like to maybe chuck in the mix as I grapple with my son?
As a football supporter, my favourite memory of the FA Cup was when Chelsea won the FA Cup with Ruud Gullit.
I was there.
That was 1997. The first time that Chelsea had won silverware in 25 years, since 1971. So that was my favourite memory of the FA Cup as a football supporter. Great day it was, particularly as I went to the 1994 FA Cup final and saw Chelsea lose 4-0 at Manchester United, which was a heartbreaking day.
Don't remind me about that one. Ooh.
In terms of my career as a football manager, yeah, I mean, there's obvious ones that everybody will guess. Macclesfield was an obvious highlight, but what a highlight. That was my best weekend in football. And what the club did that weekend, Mark, Paul, John, George, the way that they organised the weekend was a credit to them and an influential reason why we won at 4-0. They gave us the setup of a professional football club for the weekend. It was absolutely wonderful experience, which I'll always be thankful for and always remember. If you obviously we then played Football Focus, lost 2-0, but gave a very good account of ourselves. Great to see the club on Football Focus, raising the profile. That helped us again in where we want to go. The same year we beat Dartford at Dartford to get to the Macclesfield game. Played really well that day. Steve King's first game in charge. When I come, everybody asked for a cup run, so that sort of cemented it to get us a league club. So I was really pleased for that. And of course, if I look back further in my career, I can always remember with great fondness, not only being on BT Sports Live with Merstham, playing Oxford United. Great experience that was. The previous game we played Daryl McMahon's Ebbsfleet, where Ebbsfleet were the first club really to put a substantial amount of money into that level of football. They were top of the Conference South. They were the Manchester City, if you like, of non-league football then. They were red hot favourites and we won the game 2-1. So that was another great memory. That's why I love the competition. I love the FA Cup. And I want all of the players to make their families proud, not only make their club proud, supporters proud, make their families proud and create memories as a group that they can talk about with their kids for many, many years to come. So that was me. I went and played a league club. And of course, if you go back to the previous experience, the only heartbreak was we were 90 minutes away from playing Sheffield United at Bramall Lane, who were 8th in the Premier League. So without being selfish and without being greedy, it would be great to go one better.
Here, and I'd love to be part of one of those rides. It sounds fantastic. Hayden, thank you very much for giving us so much time as always. Good luck to you and the boys on Saturday. We'll all be behind you as always. And yeah, come on, you case.
Thank you very much, James. And I think your co-presenter clearly has a history in TV.
Yeah, it'll be all right on the night 79 or something like that. Cheers.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Bye.